Hello everyone and welcome to the program Midday Discourse on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi and I sincerely apologize for starting a little bit behind schedule, but notwithstanding, I'm still going to bring you updates of what's been trending and happening in Nigeria. So, to bring to your notice, the Nigerian government has taken significant steps to reform the electricity sector. On June 8, 2023, President Bola Tinubu signed the Electricity Act 2003 into law, appealing the Electricity Power Sector Reform Act of 2005. The new law aims to provide a comprehensive and legal institutional framework for operation of a full privatized, cost-reflective, and competitive electricity market in Nigeria. So to the light of all of these and the key provisions is one, privatization, the act to promote private sector participation in electricity sector. Renewable energy, it integrates renewable energy and source into Nigerian energy mix. Regulatory framework, the act established to propose a regulatory framework for the industry. Consumer protection, it ensures consumer protection and access to renewable electricity service. So what are the impacts to all of this? So we are expected, given the fact that this has been signed into law and is for the past decade now, the electricity sector has mostly been privatized. So now what were we expecting after this improved service? That's the expectations, the aim at improving electricity supply and reduce power outage, the ones that we always see, like NEPA don't carry lights, like they always say in some parts of Nigeria. So we're expected to, hear less of that and say NEPA, they always bring light. So those are the things that we're expecting to see, which on the other hand, has not actually yielded the expectation, and we are hoping that with this recent development, with the ministry, with the power sector, and as well as the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, with this recent development of granting permits to companies, MTN, Golden Penny, Sweetco, and the rest of them to be able to generate power, we'll be assessing, the impact and what would this mean to businesses, households, and all of that. So Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission is responsible for implementing the provision of the Act. Stakeholder engagement, the government will engage with stakeholders, including consumers, generators, and distributors, to ensure a smooth transition. The Electricity Act of 2023 makes a significant milestone in Nigerians' effort to reform the electricity sector and provide reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy for its citizens. So let's fast track. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has issued permits to Golden Penny Power Limited, MTN Communications Nigeria Limited, Heaven Hill Synergy, and others for mini-grid electricity generation. The NERC says it issued nine new off-grid generation licenses in the first quarter of 2024 with a gross capacity of 109.69 megawatts and 3 new trading licenses. According to the report by the Commission, Golden Penny Limited got a license to build 6 off-the-grid gas plants in Lagos, Oyo, Ogun, and Cross River, respectively. The total capacity is 100 megawatts. Also, MTN was granted a permit to build 4 captivative generation plants across Lagos State and 15.9 megawatts capacity. Aside from MTN Sweetco Foods Limited, African Steel Mills Nigerian Limited, West African Semerics Limited, Royal Energy Stones Limited, and Armoric Plastic Limited were permitted to generate captive power. Captive power generation permits are issued to entities that aim to own their own and maintain power plants for generating power for consumers and not for sale to a third party. The Commission issued 9 captive power generation permits in 2024 with a total nameplate capacity of 52.57 megawatts. Information reaching us says that other licensed companies for mini-grid and Daybreak Power Solution, T's Renewable Energy Limited, Arrow Nigerian Private Limited, Watt Exchange Limited, Continuum Dokbemu Energy Service Limited, DMD Electronic Limited, which is in Lagos State. So these are the companies that have got permits by the Nigerian Electricity Commission to be able to generate power, one, not just for themselves, and the other angle now for not selling to a third party. So MTN has actually been in the business and they've been selling. So we are going to be explaining what all of this means to the power sector, what it means to the common man, and also what it means to Nigeria at large. But we'll be going on a quick break, and then when we return back, we'll dive in straight into the conversation. At that point, I'll be introducing my guest, who is live in the studio with me, who would help us understand all of this. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is Midday Discourse on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. Yes, I have my guest here with me in the studio, Mr. James Ozo, MNI seasoned journalist, and as well as the national president for No Youth Too Young to Perform initiative here in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for joining on to this edition of the program.
Thank you very much.
First, let's start. What is your reaction to the Nigerian Electricity Commission giving out these licenses to private sectors, though it has been signed into law that private entities can generate power? But what does it mean for them to just decide not to sell to third parties, but just to have it for their own use?
Yes, thank you very much. Some of these power licenses are for private use, not for sales. And it will help us to reduce, some of these people are high energy consuming entities. Yes. So it will help reduce the pressure that we have on the national grid. That all this while we used to have what they call system disturbances here and there. And most times you hear that the national grid has collapsed and things like that. So, and then more so, we are not even generating enough power for the nation. So it is a good step that the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has taken, and towards achieving the energy electricity master plan in the country. So I believe that this is a good step. And it should be encouraged. I think because all along we have been generating our power. Yes. You know, we have been generating our power. We use our generators to generate, and we buy fuel, gas, and things like that to power our generator. And that is for personal use in most places. But if you are now allowed to generate power for yourself, using depending on whatever method you want to use, some of these big companies, that would be good, because it will help for them to guarantee their own 24-hour power supply. Yes. For whatever they are doing, so that their contribution to the economy will be sustained. And then also you see a situation whereby some companies, they pay for power that they don't use, because either they are not metered, they are on prepaid, postpaid. Postpaid, yes, they are on postpaid. They are not using prepaid, because some people, for some reasons, will want to avoid the prepaid meters, especially high energy consumers. Yes. So they will want to have. I have to be connected directly to the system. Yes. But the thing is that this is good, because they can now manage their own power. One of the reasons that we are still grappling with this power energy crisis is because we don't have this discipline, you know, in terms of energy preservation and things like that. Because most of the time, we see ourselves, we leave all our lights on, we are going out, we are going to work, we leave the lights on. Sometimes it's not deliberate, because maybe by the time you were preparing to go out, there was light just before you finish what you are doing. The light has gone off, and then you naturally forget that because we are used to not having electricity supply most of the time. So it is a big relief for some communities, because some of these mini grid licenses are for some communities, the underserved areas and things like that. So it will go a long way in helping to boost economic activities within some of those local communities, and then the country will be better for it, because as we have a middle class that have disappeared, the same way MSMEs are dying every day because of mostly power. You can see somebody who is in a local community and is operating a barber's shop, and the other one is having a hairdressing shop, and he has to go and buy a generator. He has to go and get fuel to fuel this thing. And today now you can see that there is no even fuel in most part of the country, and it's very expensive. So this is a very good development, and it will help the country to boost economic activities at those rural communities.
How, you know, most of these permits that was granted now, you know, and they have some restrictions which says they cannot sell to third parties. Before we get into that, you know, you made mention of, you know, reducing the workload on the grid, right? So these companies obviously are seeming to be like high consumers of power. So how can this now affect positively the economy? Because the main aim for this privatization is to help boost the economy and then generate more funds from the electricity sector. So if these guys now are actually generating their own power, obviously, and they can't sell to third party, how does it benefit the economy?
It will benefit the economy greatly, because you see, one of the major reasons why some companies left the country it is power related. Okay. Most of them spend a lot of money, you know, buying diesel to power their factories and the industry, their industries. So because they could not cope, they had to leave and relocate to some places where they have a better power supply, especially public power supply that is not epileptic as it has been in Nigeria. And because of that, these people will now be able to create employment for the jobless citizens. And these are the things that one of the good things that this development will lead to. Most of us in Nigeria have been out of a job because of electricity. And sometimes you see some of this rural-urban migration is as a result of a lack of power supply within the local and rural communities. And because of that, some people in search of you know, greener pasture want to relocate to some places where they can have access to power supply. And then some small scale industries, you can see them in some of these rural communities, you know, because once there is a steady power supply, you will see some of these people who are having this small medium scale industry that is producing, like, say, soap, detergents, some of bleach, some of these little things. Then they can be able to operate within those rural areas. They don't need to start relocating their industry or trying to look for big factories where they can now be, where they will not even be able to even pay at the end of the day. So it is all good for the economy in the real terms if we will be able to sustain some of these new development.
Okay, given the fact that this has happened now, what policies can be put in place now to look at the long-term and sustainability angle of it by the Nigerian Electricity Commission?
In the looking at the long-term sustainability of our energy sector reforms, we should be looking at also how to deal with the issue of power distribution.
Okay.
And then some of these licenses, they should be allowing some of them who are generating the power to also distribute.
Okay.
You generate and distribute.
Okay.
Because the distribution systems that we have in Nigeria today cannot sustain uninterrupted power supply without breaking down. Okay. We see how the national grid keep collapsing.
It has gone
sometimes,
down 3 times.
Yeah, sometimes in a month you hear that there's a little bit of disturbance, as they used to put it. And so the disturbance will reduce if we invest on energy distribution. Because there's the power generation, there's the distribution. So the transmission and distribution is a major area that we have to deal with. I think the Nigerian the transmission company of Nigeria, they are doing a very good job in terms of energy transmission. But one of the major things problem they are having is the issue of vandalism. Okay. You see that most of the time they report that some of these power towers had been vandalized by some unknown elements. And also policing of these power lines should be something that we should take more serious. Let security formations like the NSCDC, the Nigerian Civil Defense, as we call it, should kind of, be given a special task to deal with the issue of policing these power lines, so that you reduce this issue of vandalism that has been causing havoc in the energy sector. Especially in the northern part, you hear most of the time these energy towers, they go and bring those power towers down, and then because these scavengers that look for all this aluminium and iron that they want to sell, you see some of them. I've seen some of the pictures from by the TCN, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, the Transmission Company of Nigeria. Yes. You see them; they have you see where they use saw to cut down the tower, and the tower will fall down, and they will start picking parts of it one after the other. The other day there was an arrest of a food truck load of some vandalized materials that are taken. So these are some of the things that the government should look into and see how this power investment will not just go down the drain because of some of these criminal activities. And also communities where these things are located should also try to see that they buy into the protection of these energy installations in their own communities, so that they will also have power at the end of the day.
Yeah, Mr. Eze, before we get into the angle of tariff now, and do you think this recent development now is going to open window for forex inflow? That means those companies now that are, packed up and left Nigeria due to energy hiccups. Do you think this avenue and this license is being given out to a few of these companies is going to open more room for them to come back and continue opening shop down here?
Yeah, definitely. If you create a conducive environment for investors, they will come. In Nigeria, when I see that some the government officials, both at state and other levels and federal levels, they are going all about the world looking for investors, is because we don't have the conducive environment for investors. Investors are people who want to make money. Yes. So you don't need to go and plead with them to come and invest in your economy if your economy is safe for them. If there is they are assured that their investment will not get stopped in your country. If they are assured that you have a working legal framework in case of dispute resolution. If they are sure that the government will always do their own part, if they are sure that there is incentives for them, they are sure that when they come, they will have access to water, have access to electricity, have access to good road and other infrastructure that will help them to carry out their business activities. They will definitely come. You don't need to go about begging investors to come to your economy, unless you have not prepared your economy for investment. So if you prepare your economy for investment, you will see some of these investors. They will come on their own. They are the ones that most of the time you go to the streets, you see some of these rechargeable lanterns and things like that. You see them. Some of these people that are producing these things, they are not Nigerians. Most of these companies are companies that are based abroad. They come on their own, look at our environment and look at opportunities, look at what we are lacking. They know we don't have electricity here. So they will now go and say, okay, let us go, this is a big market. Let's go and produce a rechargeable torchlight for them so that they don't need to have a problem of going to be buying battery every now and then. So these are the issues. So once the environment is right, investors will come. They want to make money. You don't need to plead with them. You don't need to beg them. But just get your environment right and the investors will be here.
Okay, get your investment right. Your home right, and then investments would come. We'll be going on a quick break, and then when we come back, Midday Discuss continues. Please stay with us.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from from scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your remaining.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on global television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on global television. The discussion starts here.
Many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is Midday Discourse on global television. So we've been having conversations about analyzing the permits and giving to companies to generate power, some for personal use and not being sold to third parties, while others can be able to sell out to third parties in terms of selling a little bit of the solar energy. So now we want to talk about the tariff, but before we get into tariff or the increment, over 250% increment for Band A, Band B, and the rest of the other bands, but before we get into that, Mr. Eze, what do you think is the major problem of the electricity sector in Nigeria? Is it power distribution or power generation?
In fact, the major problem now is the power distribution.
Okay, that means we're generating enough power.
No, well, it's not as if we are generating enough power.
Okay.
You know, the issue is that if we generate power today, we don't have a system that can guarantee uninterrupted power supply.
Okay.
Because the distribution system cannot sustain uninterrupted power supply. If you check, you see that most of the times where there is a 24-hour power supply, an attempt at that, you will see incessant cuts here and there. There will be breakdown, system breakdown here and there. Some localized at localized level, some at the grid level, and things like that. So these are because we don't have the necessary infrastructure for distribution. Now, one of the major problems is that, you know, in Nigeria we have mostly this overhead distribution lines. In some places you have underground distribution lines, which is more sustainable, which is more which can withstand some shocks, especially when it's raining. Most times once it's raining, they will put off the light because some of these things are hanging in the air, and when there's a serious wind, you end up seeing that some of the poles will be falling down and things like that. So these are the issues that they should be looking at. How do we achieve underground distribution network for the country? In some parts of FCT, like in places like say Metama, some places like Asokoro, Gaines Village, and places like that, you see this underground distribution cables for power supply. So you don't come and you are seeing something hanging in the air for say you are having electric poles here and there. And some of those electric poles also cause a little bit of some accident most of the time, because as they are hanging along the way, some vehicles will lose control, they go and hit some of these things, and it will also cause a disruption in the power distribution and things like that. So we should be looking at, in the long run, and as a long-term project, how do we make this thing better by having underground power distribution system. You can see some of these telecom operators, they are these fiber optic cables, they are laying down them underground. Because you know that when you hang it up there, the tendency to vandalize them will be there, because it's hanging in the air, people can easily vandalize. But if it's underground, it will be a bit more difficult for people to, vandalize it. Yes, they will attempt to vandalize it, just as they are doing with our crude oil pipelines. Yes, but it will be a bit more difficult for some of these petty scavengers, to be bringing them down at will. So we need sustainable. We need to carry out some sustainable, investment in area of distribution, so that we can be able to deal with some of the challenges we are having within the distribution network. And at the end of the day, the country will be better for it, and the economy will be able to, have this needed power at every point in time.
Okay, looking at the companies now that have the ability to sell to a third party, and their prices are fairly reasonable. Do you think now the Nigerians are going to switch from using the usual disco companies and then switch to using maybe a few of these companies that their prices are looking very good, because they have different payment plans, which means what you pay for at a certain time is what you get, instead of most persons complaining that they get to pay and then with the prepaid and then they don't get to see the power generated?
That's also what we are looking at, that a deregulated system we bring about competition within the power sector. Because if there is competition within the power sector, you don't have to only rely on the power distribution companies, the usual power distribution companies that we have. You will now have, that's why I was saying that some of these licenses should include some of them being able to also generate and also distribute. Yes, they can. Once you give them licenses to generate, transmit, and distribute, it will be a good thing, because it will open up the sector and create competition, so that the issue of pricing will also be competitive, so that it's not one person in one corner of his office deciding and say this is the amount you are going to pay, and then you don't have any alternative, you don't have any choice but to just buy into whatever plan they give to you. Like in this band A, band B, band C things, you discover that those who are resident within the band A axis and band A coverage. So if I am there and probably I have a very small scale industry that I'm running, and I feel that the charges that is coming from the band A system is too much. I am stuck because there's nothing I can do. I just have to be there, because there's no competition in area of distribution of power. So we should also try to create competition within the power sector, so that it will not end up being like the NNPC, that is a monopoly that's always giving us fuel at whenever they like and where they don't like.
Well, let's look at the angle now of the 250% increments, which was taken out before and then now it came back. So how is that affecting businesses now and within your area? And do you think people can bounce back into their businesses because of this recent developments of these certain companies having license to generate power and sell at a rate?
Yeah, you see, the thing is that most times Nigerians are paying for power that they don't use.
Okay.
That is one of the major challenges that we have.
How do we address that?
And that is the issue of metering.
Okay.
Metering is a problem. And sometimes some of these distribution companies, they will come to you and they will tell you that probably there is a particular meter that you were using before that is not running very fast. They will tell you that you should go and change the meter. They will try to persuade you to change the meter. And then you discover that if some of these power electricity meters are not running as fast as the other ones, then what is the problem? Because it's supposed to have there should be a standard. There should be a standard that, okay, this is the metering rate. This is the metering rate that every distribution company should adhere to. But sometimes you discover that some meters are running as fast as anything, while some other ones are, are running normally. And some of these newer meters that they are installing today, some of them run very fast, and then you just recharge, and before you know it, the power, the units are gone.
Do you think it's the increment or the price that is reflecting to the meters being, or the units finishing on time?
Partly, it's because of the type of meters that they install. Okay. Because I think they deliberately make those meters to run very fast. Because if that is not the case, why should some meters be running normally while the other ones are running faster? So these are some of the areas that the government also and the regulatory bodies should also look at, because there should be a standard. I know that even in when you are talking about the postpaid usage,
yes.
Yeah. There is a standard. There is those who are not metered. There is the Nigerian Regulatory Electricity Regulatory Commission. They have what you can charge per kilowatt.
Okay.
So you cannot just say because the person is not using meter, you just charge the person anything you like. That's what they call. They talk about crazy bills in those days. Yes. So most people that have gone to appeal against some of these bills have gotten their money back because there is a standard. So this standard should be monitored and maintained so that all the meters should run at the same distance. If it is your meter is a single phase meter, and it should also run like a single phase meter in any other place. If it's a four phase meter, it should run like a 4-phase meter everywhere. There should be a standard. It's not one meter is running fast, the next neighbor, the meter is is the same single phase meter, and is running at a normal speed. So that is the thing that we're talking about, that the regulation should be in such a way that there should be uniformity in terms of the metering system, so that at the end of the day, we will not have some people complaining about what they are consuming being very exorbitant, while other people are not experiencing the same. Meanwhile, they are all living within the same area. So it is something that the regulatory authority should look into.
Looking at those angles now, okay, looking at those angles at this point, so how key is it going to be, for all of this now to get into place? Looking at the tariff price hike now that has been placed, and then one that is being reduced for hospitals and schools, what does this mean now to businesses?
It's only in Nigeria, I usually will say it's only in Nigeria that people think that subsidies is a crime. There's nothing bad in government subsidizing any sector. Okay. If that will improve the well-being of the Nigerian people. If our government exists for the security and the well-being of the people. That's the primary assignment. That's the primary assignment. If the welfare of the people is what you want to achieve, there's no amount of money you spend to achieve welfare for the people and their security that you will say it is too much. Unless it is a government that is not prepared to do what it's supposed to do. If you are prepared for business, the primary responsibility of government is to ensure the security and the welfare of the citizens. So why should we be talking about subsidies as if subsidies is a bad omen? No, you say, okay, there is a corruption within the subsidy system, a particular subsidy system. What do? You clean up the system, make it more transparent, and at the end of the day, the citizens will be the ones to enjoy the benefit. So if they are deciding to subsidize energy for schools, subsidize energy for hospitals, subsidize energy for certain special industries that are key to serving the citizens, and ensuring the welfare of the people. Education is not something that anybody can joke with. Yes, when you talk about education, no matter the amount you invest in education, you cannot say that money is too much, because you are talking about the safeguarding the future of the individual person. An educated person is a person whose future is relatively assured, because if you didn't go to school at all, that's why you see some of these criminal elements, because they did not access the enough education. They are easily swayed by some of these elements within our localities and some of these non-state actors who will persuade them by telling them some stories about how they are going to have a better life in the hereafter when they die, fighting a particular cause, which ordinarily, if the person had gone to school, he will know that, look, this thing is just a deceit. So these are the things. So there's nothing wrong in subsidizing energy for schools, subsidizing energy for hospitals, and subsidizing energy for some selected businesses that have direct impact on the lives of the ordinary citizens.
So what's your final take on this now, with the companies that got permits, and then with the Nigerian Electricity Commission moving forward? How do you think this commission can do better and help generate more power, not just generating power, but as well as distributing power to every household in Nigeria?
I think all the stakeholders in the power sector should go back to the energy master plan. Okay. You see, there was when this Professor Batenaji was the Minister of Power, he developed a master plan, electricity master plan for the country. And the whole world applauded. But, they brought politics and things like that. Oh, his company where he resigned from after he was appointed, now is bidding for power having a bid in the power sector, and then in the power generation, and then some people started raising eyebrow. Why should his company? Meanwhile, it's not as if he's still in the company, but that the company is bidding. You see, one of the things in Nigeria is that we play politics with everything. Why should we be talking about who is going to help us survive? If the person is even your enemy and he has decided to help you survive, why should you worry about it? So that is the thing. So we shouldn't go about trying to politicize things and trying to make things look as if the particular issue that is at hand is not a serious matter. No, we deal with the seriousness of the issue the way it is, not because I am in a party A and the other one is in party B, so let me run him down and make sure he does not succeed, so at the end of the day, my party will come to office and then my party will be the hero for the people. No, you don't run an economy like that. You don't run a government like that. You don't lead people like that in a democracy. In a democracy, the best you can kind of agitate for is the greater good, not just the good of individuals and some persons, no, but the greater good, so that whereby the majority of the people will be the ones to benefit. So the electricity regulatory authorities should sustain what they are doing and ensure that they monitor, because it's not enough to just give licenses. So many people have been given licenses in some areas, in some sectors, and up to date, they have never even started operating or doing anything. So people who are given licenses to cover a particular rural community, and they are not forthcoming with any serious, any plans or any serious, they are not executing whatever license that is given to them. The license should be withdrawn and given to someone else who could actually do better. So that is the thing that the regulatory authorities should be doing at this time.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. James Ezemena, the National President for Not Too Young to Perform, a journalist and as well as a public affairs analyst. That's how much time will permit us to take on today's edition of the program. I am Samuel Odi. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.